When you look in the mirror, you probably know immediately that the person you see is you. You can recognize your own face and know what you look like. This ability is something most humans and some animals have. It's called self-recognition. Self-recognition is the ability to understand that the image in the mirror is not just some random image, but a reflection of oneself. For many animals, this is not an easy thing to do. In fact, it's a skill that not all animals have. For a long time, scientists thought that only humans, great apes, and a few other animals like dolphins, elephants, and some birds could do this. However, pigeons are a bit of a surprise. Studies have shown that pigeons, which are often seen as ordinary city birds, can actually recognize themselves in mirrors, something that was once considered very rare in the animal kingdom. To test if an animal can recognize itself in a mirror, scientists usually do something called the mirror test. The mirror test involves putting a mark on an animal where they can't see it, like on their face or body. Then, they show the animal a mirror. If the animal touches or tries to remove the mark after seeing it in the mirror, that suggests they recognize the image as their own and are trying to interact with it. This is a sign of self-awareness. For a long time, only certain animals passed this test. These animals included humans, especially children over the age of 2. Some great apes, like chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans, dolphins, elephants, and some birds, such as magpies. When it comes to pigeons, the idea that they could recognize themselves in a mirror is surprising. After all, pigeons don't seem very special at first glance. They're known for their ability to navigate cities, their distinctive cooing, and their role in history as messengers or pets. But understanding pigeons' ability to recognize themselves is a good reminder that animals can be a lot more complex than we think. The mirror test on pigeons was conducted by researchers who were interested in animal cognition and self-awareness. The results were fascinating. Pigeons, when placed in front of a mirror with a mark on their body, a small dot or sticker placed in an area they couldn't easily see, did something amazing. They touched the mark on their own body, showing they recognized that the reflection in the mirror was of themselves. This means that pigeons passed the test, showing that they could identify the image in the mirror as a representation of themselves. But how do pigeons, which have very different brains and sensory experiences compared to humans, manage to do this? Pigeons' brains are not like those of humans or primates. They don't have the same structures, like the prefrontal cortex, that humans use for complex thinking and self-awareness. Instead, pigeons rely on other parts of their brain. Despite these differences, pigeons seem to use their advanced visual processing abilities to connect the reflection with their own body. This ability could be tied to pigeons' visual intelligence. Pigeons have incredible vision and can see a broad range of colors and details that humans can't even perceive. They also have excellent spatial awareness, meaning they are good at understanding how they fit into their environment. These abilities might help pigeons recognize themselves in the mirror, even though they don't process the world the same way humans or apes do. Self-recognition is an important skill because it shows that an animal has a certain level of self-awareness. Animals that pass the mirror test often show signs of problem-solving skills and understanding of the world around them. It's a way of testing how much an animal knows about itself. However, self-recognition is not common in the animal kingdom. Many animals do not have the brain structures or abilities needed to recognize themselves in a mirror. For example, most mammals, like dogs, cats, and even many primates, do not pass the mirror test. This is not because they lack intelligence, but because their self-awareness might not be developed in the same way as species like humans or certain birds. Some scientists believe that animals that live in complex social groups, like humans or great apes, may need self-recognition to help with social interactions. Being able to recognize oneself might help with things like knowing how others perceive you or understanding how you fit into your group. Other animals, like dogs, may not need this kind of self-awareness for survival, so they don't develop it the same way. In birds, self-recognition is even rarer. Most birds don't pass the mirror test. However, pigeons are an exception, showing that birds can be much more cognitively advanced than we often give them credit for. The fact that pigeons can recognize themselves in mirrors tells us a lot about animal intelligence. It suggests that pigeons, and possibly other birds, have much more sophisticated cognitive abilities than we typically think. Pigeons can navigate long distances, remember faces, and now we know they can recognize themselves in mirrors. These abilities show that pigeons are not just reactive animals, but creatures with a good level of cognitive flexibility. This kind of research challenges our traditional views of intelligence in animals. It pushes scientists to rethink how we measure intelligence in different species. For example, pigeons' ability to recognize themselves in mirrors might be related to their advanced memory and problem-solving skills, even if their brain structure is very different from that of humans. Understanding how animals think and perceive the world can change the way we treat them. Pigeons may seem like simple, everyday animals, but research like this shows that they have a level of intelligence that we might not have expected. By studying their abilities, we can learn more about the evolution of cognition and intelligence across species. Moreover, understanding animal self-awareness can help us improve how we care for animals. If pigeons and other birds can recognize themselves in mirrors, it might change the way we think about their mental well-being in captivity or research environments. It could also help us better understand the minds of other species, potentially leading to a deeper respect for animals and their rights. Pigeons can recognize themselves in mirrors, and that's a fascinating discovery. It challenges the idea that only certain animals have self-awareness and intelligence. By studying pigeons' ability to recognize themselves, we get a glimpse into the rich, complex lives of these often overlooked creatures. They show us that intelligence comes in many forms, and just because a species looks different from us doesn't mean it's any less capable of amazing things. So, the next time you see a pigeon, remember, it might not only be able to navigate the streets of a busy city, but it might also be looking at its reflection and thinking, "Hey, that's me!"